Mr. Shardul has a rare and aspirational career trajectory with three of the world's top most respected consulting firms, Deloitte, PwC, and KPMG. He pursues MBA in International Management from MDI Gurgaon. MDI Gurgaon, which is the most aspirational institute for, I think, 99% of the MBA graduates.
I have, as a young, child, I've also moved around this entire country. I've had multiple experiences. So one of the key things for me in even in education as well as work was having a new experience every day.
What do you think consulting right now is in the real shape as an industry?
So one is consulting considered glamorous. Second is what is the state of consulting right now. Third is AI and what are the challenges.
Please take us through the actual perspective, or I'll say the transformation of consulting as a profile. How do you see this current juncture of companies and the work roles out there?
So you need to have accountability, analytical thinking, communication skills, and most of all, initiative.
What is your brutal advice for the young MBA aspirants?
Before even the MBA program starts, we think about placement. MBA schools are not placement factory. There are opportunities for placements.
You are an MBA student for 2025. If they want to build a career in consulting, what is a three-step roadmap you would like to suggest them? Hello, everyone. Welcome to this session, a very meaningful, resourceful, and powerful session. We call it Industry Connect. I am your host, Anuj Goyal. And you know about Industry Connect, we had very fruitful sessions in the past with industry leaders. So, Industry Connect is a platform where MBA aspirants gets real life, unfiltered industry insights directly from the people who have built things and who are at the corporate ladder at the leadership profiles. Industry Connect is a series whereby MBA students get directly in touch with real industry experts. They share their honest experience and rather I'll say candid experiences, practical advice, career lessons, and a pathway to reach to that corporate structure, right? Which no textbook can help you anytime what real business really shapes up to you. So today in this whole series, I have a very, very special guest on special request. Mr. Shardul Chauhan is there with me. Mr. Shardul, I'll welcome you to this powerful session and I wish your experience, your learnings will guide a lot of MBA aspirants and a lot of industry people, to the core of their career pathways.
Good to be here and looking forward to the discussion.
So, for our viewers, it's very imperative for us to give a formal introduction of Mr. Chauhan to explain about his corporate profile and leadership role he has handled. So, Mr. Shardul has commanded a very powerful path till now. He's done his bachelor's in computer science from prestigious Thapar Institute, Patiala, and after that, he pursues his MBA in International Management from MDI Gurgaon. MDI Gurgaon, which is the most aspirational institute for, I think, 99% of the MBA graduates, right? So, Mr. Shardul brings a professional blend of analytical, technical, and managerial expertise. His background includes significant extracurricular involvement in a lot of things, music, management, and a lot of things. So, Mr. Shardul has a rare and aspirational career trajectory with three of the world's top most respected consulting firms, or I'll say industry leaders, right? Deloitte, PwC, and KPMG. So I think Shardul has this powerful mix of the most powerful workplaces, cultural places, right? And he's built one of the most strongest consulting profiles also with mastering the full spectrum of deal advisory and transformation. So Shardul is a complete consulting professional with rich expertise in mergers and acquisitions, divestitures across leading global firms. For MBA, every MBA aspirant or curious aspirants about consulting as a career, consulting as a pathway, consulting as a role, this will be the session for them to follow. And I welcome Shardul. So probably our students will also get to learn after interacting with you how to reach to that level of corporate profile where you have actually positioned yourself. Welcome again, Mr. Shardul.
Thank you.
So let's start from the very beginning, from the formation of your education, right? From your transformation days, right? How did your career evolve from engineering? You decided to pursue your MBA, then your MBA journey at MDI Gurgaon, and now you have your expertise and your corporate experience at such I'll say strong profiles and strong companies. So how will you define this whole journey? Every of the most of our user would like to listen from you this whole pathway.
Right. In terms of, I think education is one thing, but as you know, we know each other for quite some time. Uh, I have, as a young, child, I've also moved around this entire country. I've had multiple experiences. So one of the key things for me in even in education as well as work was having a new experience every day, or having some sort of problems to solve during my entire life. uh, as you know, people of my generation, most of us took a part of either engineering or becoming a doctor or something. There are multiple more avenues right now, so people or students should think about that as well. But if they are genuinely interested in engineering, MBA, etc., then I think from an engineering perspective, I did computer engineering because it is right now, for quite significant amount of years, the cutting edge or the area where all the advances are being made. Engineering gave me some, an outlook. For the lack of a better word, people say it jugaad, but I would term it as analytical thinking. That there's a problem in front of you, you analyze it, you look at the multiple solutions available to it, you decide which solution is available, and then you apply that solution. Well, in engineering, there is a technical guideline to it. And even in innovation, you have a technical fallback where you can use those learnings you've gained, etc. So during my engineering, that is what I focused on. Fortunately or unfortunately, let's see, if people want careers in consulting after my engineering, I was placed in a consulting company. I consulted in IT transformation, information security, and cyber security, a lot of my work was relevant to what we see today. We see a lot of cyber attacks which are taking place. We see a lot of disinformation, misinformation, etc., which is being promulgated in various conflicts, various stratas of society, right? So my first work experience was in consulting. So, and it was love at first sight. As I said, from my childhood, I think that, every day should be different, and that is what consulting delivers day in and day out. So, that's why my journey and love with consulting started. Once I was consulting in the IT specific field, I learned about a lot of decision making which needed to be done at a corporate level. And from there, say IT strategy is devised, and the CIO and the CTO have been allocated the IT strategy, and that within that purview, I used to work. I was always curious about, how is that decision making done? Like, for example, an IT budget is allocated. How is that budget allocated? What is the thought process behind that allocation of budget? Or maybe you say that a simple thing as, switching from Microsoft Outlook to Gmail in an organization. It's not as simple as you switching your account to from Gmail to Outlook, right? It is an organization wide process. There are people who need to be consulted. There are budgets which need to be fixed. There is data consideration. There is information consideration. There is implementation consideration. There's project management. All of this has been thought at a strategic level, and I was the one who was at a project management level executing all of this after my computer engineering or my engineering. So I was always interested in what is that next level where these decisions are made. Who decides, like, this is, we are using Microsoft Outlook. Microsoft Outlook does not come solo, it comes with Microsoft Office and their entire suite. Similarly, Gmail comes with a lot of Google Suites, which is way ahead from some aspects in terms of AI, in terms of collaborative working. Think spreadsheets as Word, etc. from Google Docs. Now Microsoft is catching with Teams. So all of these decisions are made there. After that, I tried to apply to companies, but there's one word they wanted in my CV, which was an MBA, right? So that's where I decided, after 5 years of work experience, I decided to do an MBA. I would not advise that to anybody listening. I decided to do an MBA. And that's where I saw firsthand what kind of transformation in your thinking process from an organization perspective. How do you motivate the people who you work with? How do you motivate your team? How do you.
So here my question, Shardul, I would like to take a second question on this interjection. You said after 5 years experience, you decided to pursue an MBA, right? And then you also said a caveat that probably a student probably shall plan their MBA a little earlier, right? First thing first, why this? Number one. Number two, MDI, you have pursued an MBA from MDI, full time management program. What was your experience in this college? Because people just aspire to be that part of that college. You have experienced the cycle of that college, right? So, how this MDI has shaped you really well in terms of your thinking, your approach, your output, your technical learning, So, please explain you about your MBA journey per se and your decision to take your admission for management after 5 years.
Answer the question, right? One is, why did I say it? I deliberately did not include. I do not advise that if you're pursuing your MBA in India with a 5 year work experience. If you're going abroad for an MBA, go for it. That increases your chances. You know, it just multiplies it. In India, MBAs traditionally, and now I see a little bit of trend where companies are looking for experienced candidates as well. Traditionally, MBAs were focused on sales and marketing roles. So there, they prefer people with less than 2 years of work experience because it involves a lot of learning of new concepts, a lot of learn market research, etc. So in marketing heavy campuses, if you are under 2 years of work experience, you have good chance in landing marketing roles in HUL, PNG, Unilever, etc. I'm not saying that this is a steadfast rule, but that's what generally people have experienced. It's not a rule again. But in terms of consulting, etc., a 2 year work experience is nonetheless a good work experience. 5 years, what happens is that you've reached a certain level in your organization, and then you have to start again. So that although that gives you an edge when you start your job, but it also, you feel a little bit that you have to do a lot of things again and prove yourself again in this, which is, again, if you think about it from a half glass full perspective, it's again a good experience to have. So that was the first question. The second question is my life at MDI. So my life at MDI would have been a little different to say another person who's in MDI, because I was part of this committee called the placement committee. So we did not have a campus life as per se, and people who've been in placement committees will understand. We had a placement committee life where we were responsible for essentially talking and liaising with companies, again, stakeholder management, liaising with companies, marketing our campus to these companies, devising a strategy to how to prepare the batch for what the companies are asking, etc., and multiple other facets, which don't think this is the scope of this discussion. But it's been good. MBA is, again, there are a lot of the difference between an engineering or a undergrad and and a master's, and specifically MBA, is there is equal, if not more, learning outside the classrooms than inside the classrooms. Inside the classrooms, you learn theories, you discuss case studies, but outside the classrooms are where you have to execute, or rather, mostly in teams of 5 or 6, where you're thinking about doing projects, you're doing case competitions, you are doing, whatever case study is being discussed in the class, you're making your hypothesis about that case study for that group discussion. You're making like 10 PPTs a week, etc., etc. And in the middle, you have exams, etc., which come like any other event in your life as as a working professional as well. That there's an exam in the middle, but that's not it. You have other things to do as well, and you're attending PPTs, seminars, you're doing case competitions, you're learning. You're interacting with your fellow students, you're participating in sports, etc. So it's a holistic. That's why whichever college you go to, it should have a good campus, it should have a good campus life, and it should be a full-time residential program, in my opinion. Again, not a hard and fast rule, but most of the people are enticed by fully residential campuses in terms of MBA. So yeah, that was my life. A lot of things to do in MBA. A lot of great professors you interact with. Professors in engineering might be a little guru shishya, for the lack of better word. That I come, I talk, I tell you, I may even interact, etc. But in MBA, some professors are more than that. They really, there are, for example, one of my finance professors, he took my case literally for the first 7 classes, but he taught me a lot. I'm not a finance person in when you think of it like a hardcore finance, let's say FP&A, etc. kind of person, but he taught me what was needed for my consulting aspirations. So great guy, left an investment management role, and thought of teaching to the younger generation. So you meet these kind of people. One of my professors, organization development. A lot of people don't take organization development seriously. They say that this is, something like there's a term in a lot of MBA colleges called FAF. It's like it's a lot of FAF, which basically means that a few capacity gas, but which basically means you're just talking, 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 and there's no substance behind it. But organization development, if you think about it, and every entrepreneur, every leader talks about setting up good working teams and executing through them. So that's what that subject teaches you. So a lot of learning from a professor perspective as well. You meet a lot of accomplished people, and yeah, your batchmates. I, as a 5 year, my first roommate, I, as a 5 year experienced guy, after my 4 years of engineering, so 9 years of out of school, my first roommate was a fresher 3 year BCom uh, graduate. He was 21 years old. I was 20, I don't know how much, 28 something, but I learned quite a bit from him. Quite a bit from him. So these are the kind of learnings you get. A lot of things which I had forgotten, he re-taught me in a better way. So this is, I think this is the I can't stress the value of campus life and a good connect with your batchmates. I think that apart from the classroom learning, that is a major part of MBA.
So, Shardul, like coming to your
Oh,
professional learning.
I also met my wife, by the way.
Ah,
MDI.
at MDI.
That's so MDI is acronym which I will not say, but I met my wife at MDI as well.
And I think that's a very strong outcome of your learning program.
Yes.
Coming to your professional career and your learnings, consulting has always been a buzzword. I think consulting adds a lot of glamour to it, right? Especially for the young MBA aspirants, when they see a lot of companies coming from various diverse backgrounds, see FMG or sales or marketing and other aspects, right? Finance, consulting is always the eye catcher, like, and most of the people would like to aspire for that. But now, sitting on the other side of the table, what do you think consulting right now is in the real shape as an industry? What are the challenges the industry is facing? I mean, especially in this dynamic times where artificial intelligence is, a byproduct or amalgamation of everything in day-to-day things, right? Whatever you're doing. So please take us through the actual perspective, actual condition, or I'll say the transformation of consulting as a profile. How do you see this current juncture of, the companies and the work roles out there?
Three things I think you mentioned. One
But you
is
can merge it in a single answer.
yeah, yeah. So I'll cover. I'll make sure that I'll cover. So I talk a lot.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I'll
it's
make sure
okay. It's okay.
I'll cover these three things
Yeah, yeah, definitely,
as
definitely.
well. So one is consulting considered glamorous? Second is what is the state of consulting right now? Third is AI and what are the challenges?
Yes,
Right?
yes, yes.
Yes. So first of all, consulting is like a normal job. It's not, I would not call it 9 to 5 because it is rarely 9 to 5. But it is normal job. FMCG folks are quite, everybody is glamorous. I think But maybe consulting is considered glamorous because people see consultants when they are presenting to an audience, speaking in sharp suits or sharp dresses. The consultant is usually standing, and there are people sitting taking notes, etc. And the consultant speaking, and we tend to associate uh, people who are speaking or seeming like knowing their stuff are people who are glamorous or aspirational. What I would suggest to those people is to see consultants before those presentations. I have lost a lot of hair, and those consultants, you will look at them hunched over their laptops, frantic with, some of them have not had their breakfast, some of them have not had their lunch, some of them have not had food for the past 10 hours, right? And they've been constantly working. The sun has gone up, the sun has gone down, and this is not just working on that presentation only. There are 10 other things which are going on. So I would say that consulting, it may seem glamorous. It is, I would flip it and say it is very enriching for your skill development. The primary skill that consulting teaches you is managing multiple priorities and prioritizing them by, there are 10 things to do. I'll do this first, this second, this third, this fourth. Second thing is time management. Time is a currency in, I think, every part of life, but consulting in general. So how much time will I allocate to this? Underwork, or rather overwork, is, consulting teaches you overwork is as dangerous as underwork, because you will be spending more time in something which is not which does not require so much time. I think then third thing is handling exigencies or contingencies. You may be doing something and suddenly something may drop. And the fourth thing is stakeholder management. Everything else comes after that. Your technical expertise, your subject matter expertise. One of my first assistant managers told me that, and now he's a partner, that to speak like a 1 minute in front of the client, you need 100 hours of experience and 100 hours of knowledge. That has a lot of weight as a young consultant, because uh, the client does not see you as Shardul, who has 1 year of work experience, is from MDI Gurgaon and from Thapar and whatnot. That CV is seen and given the project. Now he sees you as Shardul from this company who's an expert in this. So all my questions should be answered by Shardul. There's no like, no sir, yes sir, like you tell me sir. No. The client sees you as a consultant, and they are consulting with you. So that is a pressure altogether. So glamorous, no, but enriching, yes. The second part is
Yes.
challenges, especially with AI, etc. Challenges in consulting are right now. So if the economy is going down, right? So a lot of consulting business is affected. Companies usually limit their budgets or consulting budgets. So it starts with less important consulting to more important consulting as the budgets dry up or as companies are building their capital kitty. So it's kind of uh, sometimes there is a lot of work, sometimes there is little work. Both are very dangerous. Lot of work risks burnout, little work risks lower bonuses, sometimes attrition, etc., etc. The second thing is people management from internal consulting perspective. A lot of people get burnt out because of the long hours, and a lot of consultants are now actively choosing an active lifestyle, and they will, manage their work in such a manner that 1 hour of physical activity they can keep up. So I think anybody who's joining consulting should think about managing their day like that. From an industry perspective, again, AI, we should caveat, a lot of companies call their work as consulting, but it is, a lot of their work also has repetitive tasks in it. So a lot of repetitive tasks can be taken up by AI. And repetitive, by repetitive, I don't mean that you don't use your brain. You use your brain, but you use something you do daily. So that brain can be used and be done repetitively with significant accuracy by AI. But in consulting per se, AI has been a force multiplier. Uh, Especially there are multiple use cases where we use AI, be it refining your or getting your first draft of an email. I would say that we don't just say that draft this email and then we paste that email and send it. We get a first draft and then we work on it rather than us drafting a first draft
Exactly.
and then working on it. So that saves that amount of time. Secondly, I live in Dubai. The official language here is Arabic. Uh, I don't know Arabic. So a lot of executive orders, a lot of relevant material is in Arabic text. I use a lot of AI to summarize that for me, to translate that for me, both from points or a full text perspective. A lot of report writing, while it does not, so a lot of companies do not we are not allowed to go to ChatGPT and type anything, but we do have our own organization's AI tool, which is data secure, etc., based on other large language models. So we use those to crunch quick numbers, get a specific text for what we are looking. Sometimes everybody feels like I'm stuck at one sentence. I can't frame that sentence. AI is very very helpful there, and a lot of other use cases. It's aided quite a bit of research as well, provided that it's done in a secure form, because a lot of if you put company data in public models, then it's kind of worrying.
A second question arises from what you have shared. I'll give you a scenario. Let's say you are an MBA student for 2025, and now you advise the current students in current landscape with the technology transformation adaptability concept. If they want to build a career in consulting, what is a three-step roadmap you would like to suggest them? Probably in terms of skill development, which skills shall they focus more upon if they really want to get into the key consulting profiles?
Just getting into consulting or excelling in consulting, like how their path evolves in
Yeah,
consulting.
I think both are important.
Both are important. Okay. So first, consulting, to get into consulting, it's more about, nobody will have that subject matter expertise before getting into consulting, right? But it's very important to stay updated. How do I say stay updated? Consulting interviews usually are 2 to 3 rounds. The first round is manager round or a senior associate round, wherein you're asked guesstimates. The second round is a manager or a senior manager principal round, where you're asked case studies. And the last round is a partner round where you just, you're asked partner level, high level questions, and you're basically judged on your ability to translate your thoughts into good language or, crisp points, right? So for the first part, for guesstimates, it's very important to stay up to date. For example, in my interview, I had written that I like to motorbike across, I like to travel and I like to motorbike. So my guesstimate was simple. They were looking at my CV. No consultant, that consultant who's interviewing you has 10 other things going on in his actual day-to-day work. So they're just looking at CV in front of you. And then they say that, just guesstimate the amount of motorcycles sold in the past month. Simple as that. So you need to know that, rough demographics. And then you ask, like, I'm in Delhi or I'm in Gurgaon. So you need to know demographics of Delhi, Gurgaon, etc. It could be anything. So whatever you're writing in your CV, make sure that your CV is authentic and you have a layman, I'd say more than common sense information or about about that about what you're writing in your CV, etc. And it should be solid. So build your information base, read the news, have a inquisitive line of thought, etc. Second is case-based interview. Case-based interview Depends of which organization you're interviewing with. Some of them have very specific to your the practice which is interviewing you. So customer practices would have pricing problems, etc. M&A has M&A problems. Finance transformation would have finance related. McKinsey, etc. have mostly they have P&L problems, which are how to increase revenue, how to decrease cost, what is the problem, etc., etc. So, sales minus the cost is profit. That equation. But to do that, start building your analytical mindset. Any kind of problem, think about multiple perspectives of how that problem might arise, etc., and try to bucket in categories. Do not say that if there is if there let's say hypothetically there are mugs, there are plates, etc. You would not say that there's a mug, there's a cup, there's a glass. You would not say there's a saucer, there is a small plate, there's a large plate. You just bucket it into mugs, or you can just bucket it in cutlery as well. So start thinking from a category
Basic
perspective.
framework. Yeah.
Yes, category perspective, and then go into details by selecting which is important. So think in that manner, and then your case interviews again with your knowledge and your framework is what will help you solve your case interviews, and a lot of practice as well. And then be deliberate in your talking. Take some time, think about it, and then answer. I think that would help your interviews. And getting into consulting is basically building your whole personality in a very deliberate manner into an analytical personality, etc. So you can work on that. Excelling in consulting once you're there is basically you start as an associate. Designations may vary in whichever organization you are, but associate is basically a person who will be given stuff to do, hourly rates associated with your designation. So, associate is the person who will do a lot of number crunching, a lot of first level view for their senior associate and manager. Everybody has multiple problems. So, your partner has their practice, the director directs, the manager manages, senior associate and associate do. So, this is the layer which is there to learn and do everything that is required to support the manager's hypothesis. So the manager will conduct a meeting with their senior associate and associate. Senior associate is more experienced and an ownership layer. They will say that, I see this problem in this manner. My hypothesis is that if we see these things, then we should arrive at a solution, which might be this if it's a second or third meeting. Now, the senior associate and associate will not only look at if that hypothesis is there or it's right, and if the data and the numbers and the interviews, etc., support it, also suggest, and that's more senior associate role, also suggest more solutions which could be looked at, or have you, and suggest to the manager, have you looked at this, right? Because the manager is doing a lot of stuff otherwise as well. So all the number crunching, all the analysis, and all the typing, etc., will happen at this layer. So in when you join here, a lot of people think that, oh, I'm doing Excel only. There's a lot to learn in this Excel. Even if you're reading PDFs, there's a lot to learn in those PDFs. So just be very enthusiastic for your work. Sometimes it may be boring, sometimes it may be very, very cumbersome to read, like to have, I have seen GBs worth of Excel. I so that, and it's not just formula based GBs, it's just data based GBs. So the you have to be open to spending some time. You would be doing that, and as you're doing that, your goal should be, if you're doing something in, say, let's say 10 hours, in the next 5 months, 6 months, you should do that whole thing into 2 to 3 hours. That should be your goal, to learn that job, have some process around it, so that the next time you do the same job, you do it in less time. Because I said that every designation has a time cost associated with it. It's called a chargeability rate, which is X number of dollars per hour of client facing work. So That's the economics behind it. So if you're doing it in 10 hours, you are costing my project X into 10 hours.
10x.
If you're doing into 2 hours, your ability to take on more work increases, and you're also costing your project less X into 2 hours. And that's why you grow when you do this. You grow into a senior associate or a manager who can do in those two hours. You can do four things in an 8 hour workday, which is rarely the case in consulting. But let's say 8 hours, four things rather than those 10 hours you were doing. And because your rate is more, so you charge the project 2 hours only, charge the other project 2 hours only, charge the third project 2 hours only, etc. etc. As a director, I'm not there yet, but a director is basically the node of the project. They are everybody's one-stop solution to everything. Senior manager is the manager of managers, but director is the person who directs this project. They are there when the sale is made. They are there with the leadership. They are there when we are stuck as managers. When we require validation of our solutions, we go to directors. So a director directs. So
Yeah.
they are the director of the movie of consulting. And the partner is basically, I might be in an organization, but for me, my boss or the person who signs my paycheck is my partner. They are the owner of the P&L of my solution or my practice, the profit and loss statement of my solution or practice. They are the ones who are responsible for getting the project, making that sale. Everything that is being done in consulting is being done in their name. So my partner review the report, but the entire from associate to director will work with that report on that report, and the name of on that report will be the partner's report, like in CA as well, right?
Exactly.
A chart
Audited by.
yeah, audited by or a chartered accountant signed authority. But they have, again, a partner is not just, flew in and became a partner. They've gone through that associate to director also. They have a visibility of 30,000 feet or whichever feet you call. So everything, every problem that you're facing, every challenges that you've seen, they know because they've gone through it. So that's how that partner is responsible for the morale of that practice, for being the guiding principle, guiding light, ethically as well, ethically and technically, strategically. They're responsible for getting the project, etc. So that's the partnership layer. So again, I explained one more question I answered was what's the hierarchy in consulting and what do they do?
No, but what you have explained now, you have given a very, very clear, precise perspective of the layers of a consulting as an industry. So, for a management aspirant or a person who's aspiring to start his career in consulting, what you explained within last couple of minutes is a very categoric explanation of multiple profiles and the absolute level whereby he could achieve and the responsibilities associated, also the kind of productivity management, the way you explained it very beautifully, the cost versus the dollar hourly rate, that's what the consulting whole calculation is all about, and that actually leads to attrition also. When we hear a lot of attrition happening, because probably with the passage of time you're not being able to do things in a highly productive manner, other person is there to run faster than you, as simple as that.
Consulting is a very it's an economic game.
Yeah.
So attrition can happen on multiple perspectives. It's not always performance, but consulting requires getting into what I explained it during getting into consulting, right? A go-getter attitude, saying that you should be willing to take on stuff, right? You should not be a lot of times you cannot be like, no, I cannot do it. I'm not saying that do a lot of stuff, but you have to say that even before the need arises, you need to display that you can think ahead, saying that, oh, this might come, do you want me to do this so that I can, like, taking the initiative is something which you need to have. I mean, it's consulting is, so there's no boss who will allocate like you do this, you do this, you do this. It is a team effort. The manager is responsible for that team, but everybody needs to put up their hand, take initiative, and then follow through with it. So you need to have accountability, analytical thinking, communication skills, and most of all, initiative to learn. Again, to also learn. All these four will only enable you to learn. You see, everybody talks about the learning curve, but they don't talk about how to attain that learning curve, right? Everybody is a steep learning curve. It's a steep learning curve, and it's not steep learning curve, it's steep learning curves. As a consultant, you are thrown into sales, You're thrown into risk management, you're thrown into contracting, you're thrown into vendor management, third party management, you're thrown into technical report writing, you're thrown into meetings, and you're thrown into managing your team, you're thrown into managing people who report to you. These two are different. Team is the project team. The people reporting is basically your coaches whose performance you're responsible for. So you need to learn all of these things. The only way you can learn all of these things is initiative, accountability, and just have an analytical thought of bent of mind, so that you can make processes and make it more efficient. If you don't display initiative, you won't get situations in your as an associate or a senior associate where you will be able to practice this, where you will where you will fail in all of these and learn from it, and where you will learn ways to make it more efficient. So if you're not taking initiative and you don't get these things when you're an associate or a senior associate, and when you become a manager and you're thrown into a manager does not get, hey, this is something which needs to be done and here's how to do it. A manager gets one simple line from their partner or director saying, for your information. And there's an email trail below. Now think about what you need to do there. Think about what the partner needs to be done. If you are doing $1 million worth of work, they are doing $100 million worth of work
Yeah.
in the same, let's say, 8 hour day. So it's my thinking that if you've not perfected the bread and butter as an associate or a senior associate, you're going to face problems as a manager. That's again, attrition is an economic game altogether. It could be because of performance, it could be because of company performance, it could be because of uh, the practice performance or the leadership direction. But if you have your base strong, you limit your chances there.
Very, very categorically explained, Shardul. And I believe this conversation will help a lot of serious aspirants. I laid a caveat out here, right? And would like to see themselves in the consulting profiles. And you have not discussed about consulting. A lot of different shades are being also discussed about being a more productive person individually altogether in whatever profiles you are going through. Final question, the most aspirational question. What is your brutal advice, and I'll say non-filtered advice for the young MBA aspirants, right? Would like to see them probably, in a focused manner, landing into a high successful career down the line. Not a long term, probably five years down the line. They want to see themselves landing in a very successful career option.
I apologize. You asked for a 3 point something. I went into a multiple point answer to your 3 point answer. But here, I would say again, the same advice applies, right? Uh, Pre MBA, I think one of the major issues which we face in our B schools, I, I, I would say, apart from the top three B schools, it's a problem with. I have friends in most of the B schools that before even the MBA uh, program starts, we think about placement. I
Yeah.
think this needs to change. MBA schools are not placement factories, and that's the first thing any good MBA induction session would say, that we are not a factory for your placement. You are responsible for your own placement. No MBA school will say a signed affidavit saying that we are responsible for your placement. It's an institute. It's an education institute. Yes, there are opportunities for placements. There is a placement cell with the faculty, senior faculty who's responsible for it. But instead of thinking of it as a right, think of it as a duty. You want to go into FMCG? I talked about consulting because that's what I know. If you're going to, if you want to do consulting and general management, analytical thinking, take initiative, learn a bit about the world, participate in a lot of public speaking slash, uh, you know, accountable roles. A lot of them, there are societies, etc., which are there. Apart from getting good flavor of education from a finance perspective, from an operations perspective, an a consultant should know a lot of things from how an organization works kind of perspectives, right? Uh, Similarly for FMCG people, as an MBA student, learn about marketing principles, etc., but also look at the world around you, right? Uh, there is a reason where you can find certain toffees in pawn shops because uh, the distributor it's easier for the distributor to sell it to pawn shop, and it's a very ancillary kind of customer. Similarly, look at the distributor, look at the person visiting a local grocery shop, you know, who's coming in their motorcycle with their bags full with, a lot of stuff. Look at those and how that is function. Basically, as an area sales manager, you will have multiple of those sales representatives who will be managing those people. There will be big distributors, there will be small distribution network, etc. So look at the world around you. If you're doing finance, join the finance society of your college. For example, MD has a brilliant investment management society called Unnati. So join it. You will learn quite a bit from not just the second years in that society, but also the alumni who will be part of that society. Uh, Finance is something which, unless or until you specialize in it, and by that I mean specialize in it, you will not get. So it's a world altogether. I think you need to study to get finance, etc. And so think not about just placement, but on how to get the tools, I would say, during your MBA journey. And once you're you get, say, your choice of company, then again, have a good work ethic, be ethical, and no job, or as a associate, or as a management trainee, no job is beneath you. If you're getting, say, there are 50 PDFs which you need to summarize, instead of uh, throwing them into the AI thing and getting a summary done and then reading the summary for correctness. I would say power read those 50 PDFs, because this is, as a consultant, I get company data in these 50 PDFs. So it's basically my learning on how this particular company functions. Similarly, if you get 50 PDFs in a finance kind of thing, and if as an associate, just spend some more time and power read through those 50 PDFs, you will learn more, which will help you later. So I think having these, like, a good work ethic would, with an analytical bent of mind, creating processes, looking ahead, is into why what you're doing is being done, is what I would suggest in terms of having some success. And I'm not saying that I'm successful, but some success in your work. And for consulting specifically, if you're looking for a promotion, consultants are never promoted on executing their current designation perfectly. You need to display that you're executing your next designation we're aspiring to perfectly. So that's what consulting, that's a kind of rule of thumb in consulting, that if you want to be promoted, then you already need to be doing the next level of work consistently, and to accept not acceptable to client level quality. So that's how I would answer your question.
And yes, with that answer, I think, personally speaking, the audience may try to absorb their own learning. But after this session, I think I'll have a much deeper understanding of consulting as a career, as a, I'll say, life, as a journey. So I've learned a lot after this session with your experience driven thoughts, right? That's why I really feel that these sessions, like serious sessions like Industry Connect, really exist. Really to bridge the gap between, the classroom learning and the real industry, brutal corporate world learning, right?
Good.
And yes, for all the MBA aspirant, I'll simply say careers are built not by chance, but yes, by clarity, consistency, and courage. And after this today's session, I think A lot of learning will shape you to take some serious, bold steps in your next upcoming journey. And thank you, Mr. Shardul, for sharing all these beautiful advices, experiential learnings. And I believe this will help the people in the respective domains. But the purpose of the session gets solved if some of the people are benefited out of this session.
Thank you, Anuj. And I would just like to say to the candidates that uh, there are a lot of opportunities, and everybody is looking for someone who's efficient, accountable, and has initiative with them. So you just need to display it, and a good way to display it would be a good performance in your B school. So all the best, and thank you for listening to me, and thank you, Anuj, for having me.
Thank you, Shardul. Thank you. Wish you a lovely, I'll say, weekend, lovely time ahead. And we would like to see you again on sharing different insights on different topics as well again.
Sure. Anytime, anytime. Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Shardul.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.